And that also refers to where we were saying with mana being because the future is largely undetermined. This is because we haven't determined it yet until we open the box, right? Okay, so I guess it's worth talking about how we achieve communication, right? Up the chain, up the ladder to ourselves, to our higher selves. It's when we refer to gnosis, achieving gnosis, gaining gnosis. That's kind of what we're talking about. The idea of okay. So one way you could describe that is gnosis is the unity of the conscious and the unconscious mind. And actually, when we pray, when we put our hands together, we're kind of doing a magical signal. We are doing a magical signal to ourselves that we are combining those two things together. They're working in concert through prayer, right? Or whatever. But the idea... now, in theory, there's all different kinds of ways to achieve gnosis, but ultimately what you're trying to do is you're trying to impart instructions to yourself, to your higher self. It's a way of sort of, when we do ritual work and we put on robes and wave wands around, and essentially what we're telling ourselves is like, this is serious. I don't just put on a robe and dance around in a circle for no reason, right? I'm serious, and and it is a way for your unconscious mind to go, oh, okay, he's not screwing around. He means this one he means, or whatever, right? So the idea of achieving gnosis, all kinds of ways to achieve it, but I would say meditation is probably everybody's best bet to start with. You can achieve, because it is, I would argue that you achieve gnosis in that moment where, like the Buddhists talk about it, that meditation is more about returning, right? It's not about what you're focused on, it's about, like if you're, meditating on a problem and you find your mind wandering, and then suddenly you realize that your mind has wandered and you come back to meditating on the thing you meant to meditate in the first place, that's when you achieve gnosis, that moment of returning, right? That split second between the conscious and unconscious. There are, there's, we mentioned orgasm, that's another one, that's why sex magic is oftentimes used, because in the moment of that pure ecstasy, you're awake in a way, and you're also tranced in a way. Actually, there's probably a better way to say it. There's a moment of trance where, for instance, if you happen to be looking at a sigil at that time, that's a great way to get that information communicated. Pain and pleasure is another one. I don't recommend that one. Some people, it seems to work for them. I don't know. But I would say meditation, because a lot more comes to with meditation than just working on gnosis, right? And again, just real quick, this would correspond to the root chakra, right? Base chakra, the grounding chakra, because it's earth, right? Now, well, technically, in theory, there's another chakra between our ankles, the Terra chakra, as opposed to the root chakra. When we're crunching it all together, it's essentially that. Anyway, when we're in the... Think about it this way. What if I did this? Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. As above, so below. As below, so above. See that? You see that? It's like the color and the tone and it's all in there, right? Okay, so now let's get a little more practical. Now when we're talking about what we're going to be doing today, right, as far as ritual work is concerned, what I'm going to teach you, or give you the fundamentals for anyway, is the most, what I guess was considered the most fundamental. Should we wrap up soon?
No, or? Just telling you the time. It's 3 p.m.
Okay, cool. Actually, then. Why don't we? All right, I'm going to touch on this real quick. We'll go over the basics, and then I can. You know what? All right. I'm going to do this in reverse. I'm going to take that part out, and let's talk about the final Hermetic principle. There's 7 Hermetic principles, right? Except there's not. There's 8.
Something else?
I'm going to put it later. I'm going to put it later because we're going to talk about this first.
Okay.
All right. The unspoken last Hermetic principle. And why is it unspoken? Because it's silence. Silence may be the most important tool. And what do we mean by this? Because this is... okay, so we were talking about the conscious and the unconscious mind, right? And that the conscious mind, where it goes, it pushes the unconscious out of the way. The practical way to say that is what your conscious mind is engaged in, your unconscious mind cannot work on. Because you're working on it, okay? So that's why obsessions are really hard to deal with magically. Because you seem to not be able to let it go. Your conscious mind is constantly engaged in it, right? So the idea behind this is when we're doing magical work, what we want to do once we're done is we want to set it and forget it, right? We're done with it, we want to move on. We don't want our conscious mind engaged on it because we want to give our unconscious mind time to work on it. 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, ideally, right? The less you think about it, because when you are working on it, your unconscious mind can't. And the more you think about it, the more it proves to yourself that you haven't let it go, right?
A real good example of that is when you lose something, and you obsess and tear the house apart, and then you say, oh, I'm just going to meditate on it, and then it comes. Or you
That's exactly right.
Doing the dishes and it just floods in where it's at. That's a very good example.
Right. And actually that's, okay, so another way we can call this is we can call it the, I'm going to steal a quote from one of my mentors, Frater Xavier, Mind and Magic, where he calls this the law of least expectance, which I like, right? The law of least expectance. Because it's only going to manifest when you're not thinking about it, when you were least thinking about it. That's when it happens, right? Everybody says that, right? Where do you meet the love of your life? I was never thinking about it. I was in the grocery store or whatever, and boom, she was there, right? It falls out of the blue, that kind of thing. The idea is, and also in a cause and effect kind of way, it is also the law of least resistance. In that it's not going to, it's in an Occam's razor kind of way, it's going to take the shortest path to success. That's why we want to be careful of how we word stuff, right? Because if all we care about is money, and we don't care about how we get it, well, maybe your grandma is going to leave it to you in her will, and so that happens, Does that make you responsible? We kind of have to think maybe, yeah, that's why we want to be careful. We don't want to be, there's karmic fallout for everything that we do, right? That's why we want to try to do no harm, and ideally we do the opposite of that. But so setting it and forgetting it. The idea of all right. So that also in a way refers to the Sephiroth of Da'ath, right? Where in the abyss. Sorry, that was last class. Where everything that isn't is, right? In that silence in the setting and forgetting it kind of way. It corresponds to that as well. All right, so cool. That's a good place to break. We'll take a quick one, and then I will refer to the details of the LBRP, the Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram, and anybody who wants to do it with me, we can do it if we have time. If not, we'll pick this up another time. But thanks for your attention, and hopefully that was informative. All right, thanks. All right, great, thanks.